At home, Tiffany Henyard went on the road. It was a public relations tour meant to combat her critics. It wound up raising more questions than it answered. And once again,
Tiffany Henyard has built a reputation for being bold and unwilling to back down, regardless of public opinion. But now trustees from Doughton and Thornton have had enough. They're determined to hold her accountable. Heated board meetings have become the norm as they work to uncover the truth and put an end to her controversial actions. For a while now, Henyard has been under growing scrutiny, and the situation has reached a breaking point. Trustees accuse her of mishandling village funds while frustrated residents demand transparency. In response, she insists she's being harassed and targeted for political reasons. With tensions at an all-time high, we're here to break down the latest developments. Residents are demanding that Tiffany Henyard get rid of the luxury SUVs she's using for her security team. They argue that these high-end vehicles are an unnecessary drain on village funds, and the community simply can't afford them. But Henyard isn't budging. She claims the backlash is nothing more than harassment and political attacks, doubling down on her position and further frustrating locals. Another major player in this controversy is Keith Freeman, a township employee, known as a whistleblower. Many residents want him to stay on the job, but Henyard insists he's been fired. The details of his dismissal remain unclear, but his supporters see him as a key figure in exposing corruption. Meanwhile, Henyard is doing everything she can to distance herself from him, a move that's only raising more eyebrows. Hurdles for the trustees is the township's worsening financial crisis. The community is bleeding money, and many believe Tiffany Henyard is to blame. Trustees have accused her of irresponsible spending, exposing what they describe as a shell game with village funds. Simply put, they claim she's been moving money around in ways that don't make sense and weren't approved.
Tiffany Henyard is
voted against approving thousands of dollars for some of Henyard's events. But here's the catch. She had already spent the money. It seems like for Tiffany Henyard, getting approval is just an after. Let's talk about the taxpayer-funded party Tiffany Henyard threw. Get ready for this. It cost the village a jaw-dropping $85,000. Hard to believe, right? So what kind of grand event did taxpayers get for that kind of money? Singer Kiki Wyatt performed for just 30 minutes and walked away with $30,000. Rapper Jay Holiday? He got $22,000 for another half-hour set. Other than that, it was just a standard daytime kids event with a few food vendors. Not exactly the kind of high-end celebration you'd expect for that massive The Real. Kicker, despite all that money spent, the party was a total bust. According to trustees, only about 65 to 70 people showed up. That's in $85,000. Taxpayer-funded event for fewer than 70 attendees. Let that sink in.
Process, I started asking questions.
Some trustees aren't holding back. They believe Tiffany Henyard is a narcissist. A bold claim, but they might have a point. With corruption allegations piling up, it's clear she knows the heat is on. As the pressure builds, she's revealing more of her true colors, and from what we've seen, the trustees' concerns seem justified. She's on the defensive, and there's no denying. Henyard isn't going down quietly. In fact, she's been locked in full-blown shouting matches with trustees during township meetings, accusing them of trying to smear her name. With all the evidence stacking up, you'd think she might take a step back, but instead, she's digging in and turning up the drama.
Happening tonight, community concerns in Thornton Township and a push to regulate what some call out-of-control spending by Township Supervisor and Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard. NBC5's Lexi Suter has more on tonight's showdown between trustees and Henyard.
Good evening. There were many tense moments in tonight's meeting. At times, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard took on her fellow trustees when it came to money and expenses, even accusing some of them of spreading lies about her.
Please tell me how you're out of order. You're out of order. How do they operate, trustees? How do they operate?
There were countless interactions just like this, elevated voices and heated debates about spending and the lack of a new budget. Several of the trustees questioned much of the township's spending, while Henyard says she's cleaned its finances up.
Y'all thought that I was young, dumb, didn't know nothing, was going to let y'all come and manipulate me. I didn't do any of that. So because I didn't do any of that, you guys started this whole smear campaign.
When the township trustees recently voted to cancel some of her upcoming events, Tiffany Henyard did not take it well. She launched into a lengthy rant, accusing them of harboring hatred in their hearts for refusing to fund her lavish gatherings. And get this, She claimed the trustees weren't voting against the events themselves, but against her personally. Because in Tiffany's world, everything always comes back to her.
At one point in this 3-hour meeting, Supervisor Henyard demanded Finance Director Robert Hunt read through more than 100 line items that many trustees wanted to get rid of. For example, thousands of dollars to Amazon.
$169.99.
Thousands of dollars of cakes for community events.
102 Calumet Bakery.
And tens of thousands of dollars that were allegedly allocated for the one-day event, the Taste of Thornton Township.
We just had a couple events here in the past, month or so, that just extraordinary amount of money was spent unnecessarily.
As for upcoming events, the trustees voted to stop a few, including House Fest and Gospel Fest. Henyard accused the trustees of acting out of spite.
And right now, you guys are operating with hatred in your hearts. You're operating out of feelings. You're not operating with things that's going on, and I don't think that's fair to us. And I don't understand why it's a problem when we got a surplus in Thornton Township thanks to Supervisor Tiffany Henyard.
Here's where it gets even juicier. Tiffany Henyard insists she's actually improved the township's finances. But let's be real, no one's buying it. While making these bold claims, she also accused the trustees of singling her out, arguing that past supervisors never had their events canceled, what she conveniently ignores. Her events are far more expensive and over the top than anything before her. And despite all that excessive spending, they've been nothing but failures.
Meeting involving Tiffany Henyard.
Tonight, it involves her role as Thornton Township Supervisor. The Board of Trustees voting to cancel upcoming township events. Despite Henyard's vote in favor of Gospel Fest, House Fest, Bingo, all failed to pass. The tech-savvy event failed at first, but trustees then approved it with a limited budget. Henyard telling the board their votes were not about the community, but about her.
Because them residents love the events that we do here at Thornton Township. And prior to me, y'all have always had events. So I don't understand why it's a problem now that Tiffany Henyard is the supervisor when it wasn't a problem when Frank Zuccarelli was the supervisor.
Now, in her supervisory report, Henyard says she turned the township's financial situation around, claiming it had multi-million-dollar deficits in 2022 when she arrived. Now the township has a surplus totaling $9.7 million.
Things got so intense that at one point, Tiffany Henyard and her security officer had to step in to calm an angry crowd during a township board meeting. The frustration was palpable. Watching the footage, you can practically feel the tension. It's clear people have had enough of her antics.
We're on the cusp to celebrate Juneteenth. We come to a meeting here, and instead of us being professional, we're carrying on this matter. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the We teach our young people about being respected. We teach them about being respected. And we come to a meeting and we see disrupt. We see disrupt. But not only do we see disrupt, we see individuals that have an agenda. They have an agenda. And the agenda is based on what's happening in Dalton.
But Tiffany? She's still not getting the message. When trustees called a special township meeting to demand answers, she brushed it off completely. In fact, she had the audacity to call the whole thing clickbait. It's like she thinks this is just forget, the FBI is still keeping a close eye on her. From questionable financial moves with unapproved funds to lavish parties and allegations of misusing village money for personal gain, this story is far from over.